Yeah. So, welcome Prasad to the fifth session of our Vibes dialogue series for declaring Earth Federation as a critical and urgent response to the global metacrisis spiraling out of control. And with the new inflection point with reference to Mr. Donald Trump's Board of Peace that he announced at the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos recently. So, in that regard, we've been discussing in the past several sessions that there is a legislation of the Earth Constitution called Earth Emergency Rescue Administration, which takes cognizance of the planetary emergency with respect to not just the climate meltdown, but several other factors such as ongoing wars and genocides, and the very volatile nature of escalating military buildup in several parts of the world. From countries like Germany and Japan, who were otherwise depending on military alliances rather than having their own armies. So, in that regard, we have a need to make an urgent and critical response with, what I would call a novel Earth Emergency Rescue Administration (NEERA), which is an updated version of the legislation passed in 1985 at the Second Provisional World Parliament. And the revision, which was called World Legislative Act 91, in the very recent 16th Provisional World Parliament, which happened in Pondicherry on 7th to 10th December. So, in that regard, with your background of Suraksha as a very sincere and very high morality, high ethics commitment to climate mitigation, towards mitigating contamination of water, of air, of land, high levels of pollution, as well as towards stability and towards sustainability. So I invited you to consider as interim executive director for the Novel Earth Emergency Rescue Administration, to which our conversation so far has been that you'd like to, because there are a number of dimensions and complexities that you'd like to tread cautiously. To which my question is that how would you balance being cautious with the need for making a bold and radical moves, as an urgent and critical response?
Yeah, it's a great question, and you put me literally on spot on these things, including the global politics. And I appreciate this. Now, we need to deal with the current scenarios, honestly, to move forward, right? So, I'm also covering a little bit backdrop of World Economic Forum also. We have seen the Trump motives and approaches on different things. Well, if you notice closely what happened in World Economic Forum, a lot of world leaders put a hard wall to Trump already. So, in my mind, what Trump is trying to accomplish now is, okay, you guys are not listening to me, but you listen to me. So that's what he came up with now. Saying, okay, I'm forming this thing and you join, and these are all the conditions, etc., so on and so forth. Nobody knows how well they are framed, whether it is just in his mind and throwing some words. Trump usually do this kind of stuff, right? And he put his family members also into that thing.
Yeah, Prasad.
So,
So I'll just add one little insight on that. That what many people are appalled about is that
mhm.
Trump is very treacherously weaponizing global integration of supply chains, which was supposed to be a strength of globalization, and there was a mutual trust. So they are also retaliating to what they see as a betrayal of this mutual trust with lots of blackmail, treachery, and deception. So I think that must be brought into the conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. So, definitely, Trump came with a lot of rumblings, but it appears that he toned down a bit before leaving, at least. So, what is his alternative then? How to convince everybody? I'm not that pushing guy, but again, you got to listen to me. I'm leader. You should follow me. He's playing this card because every country told Trump on that forum, okay, you are the U.S. leader, but we are leaders of our own region, our own countries. You heard what Canadian Prime Minister said. You heard what Nordic country Prime Minister said. Everybody said something to protect their own country's interests. So here comes the supply chain. What Trump tried is, an arm twisting approach. Do this or not kind of approach. Okay. So he realizes it is not working. It is not in his favor. So he has to go back with a defensive approach. So he has to bring a new thing apart from whatever the noise he did so far. This is my understanding. So he brought up whatever it is now. But world seems to be moving on without US already. Okay, so it is not other countries follow or adopt what US is saying now. Um, Even though there is mighty in the market footprint here, investments are more secure here than anywhere in the world. Um, the world has threw a challenge to Trump. Yes, we also have some conditions. We are not going to work with you like the way you want. So it hasn't happened before. It would not happen now. So they are trying to, world leaders also trying to balance. So in this thing,
Yeah,
there
Prasad,
are a lot of arrows
again,
flying left and
sorry to
right.
interrupt, but it is important to see through, how this is going to play out,
Yeah.
not just in the kind of medium or long term, but
Mhm.
within next few weeks, because what cannot be overlooked is the fragile and farcical nature of Trump's Board of Peace proposition, because he simply has lost the trust of even his closest allies in NATO
Yes.
as much as everyone else. So let me make it very clear that even though there is a lock-in of investments into the American ecosystem, which Trump officially is the overlord of, as the president of United States of America. But this fragility will lead to a precipitous collapse, which could be as early as the next few weeks in one scenario. And we must do this scenario planning. So the worst case scenario is that by end of February, there will be a significant meltdown, because if you watch, for example, China's response from within few hours of the 3rd January terrorist raid into the presidential palace in Venezuela, where the constitutional president and his wife were kidnapped, at gunpoint, uh, at middle of the night, at 2 a.m., late in the night. So I think that has not gone down well. Even though Western media may try to distract us from the gravity of that particular incident. So China, for example, pulled out the very next morning a significant amount of its US dollar holdings. And with recent pronouncements from the Danish Prime Minister, from German, from Belgian, and many others, I would reckon that there is a increasing probability of a precipitous collapse happening in within next few weeks. So let us keep that in mind when we do the scenario planning.
Yeah.
Though there will be balancing factors to stabilize this meltdown. But this meltdown with increasing probability cannot be ruled out at this point. Secondly, it creates a very significant window of opportunity for people in the civic society, who've been working on a peace and harmony agenda for decades. And though they may still be a loose, network or a confederation of multiple entities, but given the availability of a digital leverage, the global digital networks, there is a distinct possibility that we could move up and create a similar shock and awe that the state actors have been doing so far. So that is the possibility that I am exploring, and that somebody with your profile, who is more on the cautious side, or I would say conventional, because you have certain operational issues in mind. You are certainly focusing on the lead times to raise the kind of funds we would need. Let's say a couple of billion of dollars. So weighing the pros and cons. So that is what our conversation is about. So in this role playing, you are like the braking and the steering system, and I am kind of putting the accelerator, and both have to happen in tandem for the planetary vehicle to move in a balanced way, in a safe, in a secure, and in a but also without undermining that in the current trajectory we are kind of going over the cliff. So the need for course correction could not be more urgent and more pronounced than what it is on this day of 24th of January 2026 as we speak. So please keep that in mind, that let us, as a precautionary principle, let's weigh the opportunity as well as the likely probability of a worst case scenario.
Okay, so let me start with Trump's situation worldwide, because it is a continuum on what we are discussing. We took a break there. So in my view, as you said, it may crumble from February, or it may lead until it may bleed until November also. Two scenarios here. Anything may happen between now and November. So November is also one of the crucial decider on how speed Mr. Trump can move. That's for sure, because that's the system, political system, to put real brakes on Trump's momentum at this point of time, because he has to balance that thing. Otherwise, he's pulling his own wheels off. Okay, so how we deal with this kind of situation is also important. From my standpoint, when I have to take a role here, active role here, me being in US, I have to go run it through my attorneys also. So the thing is, we are also talking about money, responsibilities, law also. There is law involved here. So you know what is happening. It's not due to fear or anything else. I want to vet these things in a perfect way so that I won't slow down anybody, our mission here. Okay, so we have to come with a perfect approach, including the legal clarities, what to say, what to do, what not to do immediately, so that there won't be any hamper. No, we cannot do anything with the flight other than grounding it if we find an issue, technical issue on the flight, right? So that's what I am trying to accomplish through this conversation. We know we have responsibilities. We know what we can do. We know we have leadership qualities, and I know I'm in safe hands with the people in like yourself and others. I don't see myself as alone, but I'm in a different continent. So certain things would play out. Okay, especially an individual who is already in the profession, who dealt with, I dealt with the legal suits also in my life. So why I'm bringing this is, being there, you may not see these things brewing behind me. So I am in the front end. If whoever it is in US, you know these things. It applies to our approach also in this matter. So US is full of snakes in that kind of suing somebody. It is very easy. One, two, three for the other guy. For me, when I get into that firing range through others, I have to be politically savvy, financially solid, and administratively solid also. Three things I have to manage, whether somebody likes it or not. Well, simple example, I take this position and give a statement, and somebody sues me. So, including my authority, they don't care about anything. They just put a case. That's it. So I have to run to the court. So when these are all the cautionary lines that I am mentioning.
Let's just take this specific point that who in your case are the stakeholders, in the ecosystem around you, number one. Number two is that let me give you a comfort that since I've been talking to good number of people who are in the United States of America, including the president of World Constitution and Parliament Association, Dr. Glenn Martin, who also has similar challenges, and good number of other people. So let me understand and see. Let me also spell out how our approach is very different from Mr. Trump's approach. See, Mr. Trump's approach is wrapped around lots of blackmails, threats, treachery, and deception. We counter it through an unprecedented openness and transparency and taking everyone in confidence. And for example, the other day we had Mr. George Cummings, who is one of your close associates. And, I was really very impressed and very inspired by his lifetime experience and his vision and his bold dreams for the future. So if let's say there are attorneys, there are other stakeholders. So is it possible for us to have an online meeting to kind of explore each and every nuance and shades of what are the different scenarios and why we believe that in the larger framework of universal law and in the larger framework of what is in it for humanity as a whole, how our collective future is exposed to these vulnerabilities and to the civilizational collapse and to human extinction, which can no longer be ruled out and no longer be dismissed as apocalyptic, sky is falling kind of taunts and like what used to happen earlier. Now the evidence is so much out there in the open. So how soon? Let me get to the brass tacks. Could we convene a meeting of all possible stakeholders and then we systematically discuss what are the challenges and opportunities. And I'll give you one important reference of George Davis, uh, sorry, Gary Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He was an American national. He was a popular Broadway actor. His brother died in a military raid during Second World War, and then he tried to convince everyone to adopt peace and harmony, and he made it his life mission. He then renounced his American citizenship because he somehow blamed the American authorities for fueling and fomenting these wars and conflicts. So he not only renounced his citizenship, he became a lifelong campaigner and he set up World Services Authority, which would issue global citizenship passports. And many countries around the world, especially in the non-aligned world, accepted the global citizenship citizenship passport, and prominent among them and among the larger countries was India. And historically, India never refused Gary Davis and for others also the global citizenship passport till the time it expired by itself in the 2000s. So India has been most consistent in really practicing what we preach of students to work as a family. Why, if you look at the provisional world parliaments, in what locations have they been held in the last couple of decades? It started off in Brighton, in United Kingdom, in 1982. The second one was held in 1985 in New Delhi, and then it happened in various other places around the world, America, Spain, and even in Libya. And since around 2009, for decades, they have been held in India. The last one happening in just December last month in Pondicherry. So what I would like to assure you is that we have mitigation and adaptation plans to ensure that any person anywhere in the world is not does not get into any kind of immediate trouble which puts them in a spot as well as our overall. So now the specific question is that how quickly do you see that you can speak to your close associates, the stakeholders around you?
Yeah, I'll message everybody. There is no doubt, but again, it's not. The idea here is we whoever are willing to attend a meeting on these lines to discuss. I'm not worried about pros and cons of it. How smoothly we can handle these things. That's important. How cleverly we have to navigate these troubled political and infamous approaches, and also me especially also look into who do we align with, especially in the environmental context, because what my wheel is running here and I have to map exactly with the same thing on the other side also. You know what I mean? So that I would be on a platform where I do what I am promising in general, as a person, as a professional, as a group. So, let's discuss on these things. It's not out of any fear or something like that. So let's hear from our US colleagues also who are here and what they have to say. So, for me, title is nothing. How we execute is the thing. Okay, we can have any title. It doesn't matter unless we execute everything in a righteous way. And we have to move on a solid ground. And this approach is great, I believe. So people are busy. Sometimes they may show up, they may not show up. But again, if we could at least meet one time before we finally establish each thing that we want to do in US, I'm for it. And it's not just me. I'm telling my perspective. But again, as you said, there are other colleagues that that they're already in US and you've been interacting with them, and they have some ideas too. So I don't know what ideas they have as of today on these things, right? So let's have such meeting, and then we can decide, how fast we can move on that. So another thing is, since we have up to November, personally, I suggest you not to worry about that thing. See, that the time is perfecting. It is still in making for me. I may be wrong, but I want to put this out. So I'm seeing certain signals. Well, this is brewing. Let it brew for a while. Then we'll come around it, and then we'll say, well, this is best alternative. You have been telling all these things. Everybody knows within your circle, and you ran a conference even in Pondicherry. You set up the backdrop, and it's about launch. It's about launch, and the launch time is it immediate or maybe 1 month later? That's what I'm debating internally, or maybe 2 months later.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I'm
in that
debating
regard,
internally. Yeah.
yeah. So in that regard, let us consider two other scenarios, which may again be very bold and even unthinkable. So let's
Mhm.
use the Overton window, to see how something that is unthinkable today through, conversations, dialogue, reflections, introspection can be brought
Mhm.
to become so let me spell out consider current
Chandraji,
legal
yeah, Chandraji, you are breaking. Um,
works.
you are breaking. I did not hear anything, but before we
Okay, let
proceed,
me repeat. So what I said is that in case there are legal issues which kind of stop our further progress, then let
I'm
us
not saying
consider
issues, review. We have to do these reviews also.
other scenario.
Uh,
No, in scenario,
I think you are you are breaking, Chandraji. Um, please hang on to this idea for a while if you can hear me.
yeah,
We have our good friend, my good friend and sister Padmaja here. Remember the other day, not you, with Srinivas. She works from Parvatipuram. She runs an ashram called Jattu Ashram there. She has been doing incredible work since 20 years. And she got a lot of accolades from government officials, and she
okay,
has doing all these projects that we are thinking, even at the eight village sense. Remember, I in between one of our conversation, I brought up we are working on five village concept through my friend. Um, she is her. So
yeah,
welcome,
namaste.
Padma.
Uh, we'll come to that. Yeah, okay, okay, that's very good to hear.
Mhm.
And I'll just quickly come to Padmaja ji. Before that, let me just reiterate because there was a connectivity glitch. What I'm saying is that to make things happen, to make it robust, I'm just thinking aloud on two other scenarios. The second scenario, and even if we consider that there is a certain opaqueness, behind his real intentions, but because he calls it board of peace, let us assume that he also means peace and he wants peace. And at least, so in some of his actions, he's also demonstrated that. So let us give him the benefit of doubt. And let us start a dialogue at the high table where the Canadian Prime Minister very interestingly said what to many is unthinkable. So he used the phrase called if you are not at the table, you are on the menu.
Yes.
Yeah. So this has been a very popular phrase in geopolitical circles, which the Africans have been saying about Washington D.C. style of working. If you're not at the table, you are on the menu. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Kearney, a very important, yes, okay, Trump is a predator, but can he be a good, healthy predator like it happens in the jungle, which brings together the herd and it protects the weaker of the species in the center circle, and the outer circle is the stronger people. So in our case, it could be China, Russia, European Union, African Union, like that. Then in inner circles, it could be the more weaker and vulnerable countries, which also many of them have internal dissensions, which are being fueled by certain stratagems.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, so let us say that Trump himself may be surrounded by some of these very, kind of actors who are very bad predatory. As in, what I mean
The signal is very poor. I'm closing my video also. See, let's see how that works.
is that unlike in the jungle, which only has good predators, so in which we combine our herd, let's say, who wants peace, stability, harmony, and sustainability, to create a common platform, because the identity is very important. So let us bring together a large organizations like World Constitution been in functioning till since 1958. So a good nearly 7 decades. Similarly, there is a very large organization called World People's Assembly, which though formed just about a decade back in 2017 as Eurasian People's Assembly from Moscow.
The sig the
But
signal is very bad,
last year, and
Chandraji.
2025. Okay. Are you able to hear now?
Yeah, I can, but you are terribly breaking in between. So I can understand because I
Okay,
have heard
so
you before. I'm trying to string up these things. Yeah.
yeah,
Try
so one
to
way to
try to
overcome
close
is
your
that is
video
why I'm
also.
consciously speaking slowly. Okay, let me do that. Okay, let me do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
if that
So,
happens. Yeah.
so which
Still
part
there.
did you miss so far?
I'm not.
Which part
I'm
did you
unable to
hear?
follow you since 5 minutes.
Oh goodness. Okay. So what? Let me recap then since last 5 minutes. So what I was saying is that Trump, let's say, is a good predator whose net outcome of his unpredictable moves and very bold moves could be to herd together humanity as a herd. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay, so I shared the Alan Savory study, the lockstep analogy from the jungle, how that creates a synergy and symbiosis leading to abundance for everyone and is a win-win for everyone and leads to stabilization of relative proportion of species population as well over time. Is that part clear?
Yes.
Okay, so now the audio is clear. So I'll move faster. So,
Okay.
but let us say that Trump is surrounded by some of the bad predators who may be putting pressure on him on, let's say the MAGA agenda, which is the selfish, narrow-minded side, which eventually is a covert operation for land grab and for loot and plunder of resources, continuing the colonial agenda. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first admission that Trump doesn't overtly call it the Doctrine, which he earlier used, that the Western Hemisphere is their influence and treacherously whole of the world, which the economist called Donroe Doctrine based on Monroe Doctrine, which is a continuation of the doctrine of discovery since the 15th century.
Mm-hmm.
You get this backdrop?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do share your feedback so that I know if there is a breakage in audio link. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Hello.
two ways
Yeah.
to look at that thing. Trump thing is personal
No. So let me
agenda
just
rather
complete
than
this
others.
construct. So Prasad,
Sure.
let me complete this construct of this scenario. What I'm saying is that
Okay.
we organize and we become a force to reckon with, with our size. Let's say together we also get some of the global South countries on board of our alternative to the Board of Peace and have a high level meeting of this Board of Peace, and we create a Peace and Harmony Council, let's say,
Yeah. That-
and we directly talk to Donald Trump, who's declared himself just as the President of United States, but in his personal capacity.
Mhm.
So even if we consider the untenability of what he has done, uh, but given the fact that he uh, sits over a huge stockpile of weapons and he has certain leverage given the global integration of supply chains and
Mhm.
dependency on America. So
Mhm.
let us explore the scenario in which we consolidate our loosely held networks into a common platform, and I called it Earth Political Forum or Earth
Mhm.
Policy Forum, EPF.
Mhm. Yeah.
And this is juxtaposed with World Economic Forum, which explicitly keeps an economic focus, but we keep a larger policy focus.
Mhm.
So we then constitute a Peace and Harmony Council of 12 members as part of the Emergency Earth Rescue Administration, which is our front end.
Mhm.
Then we constitute, along with the executive director, 5 regional directors
Mhm.
of 5 regions. Then further, every region has about 9 to 15 provinces, and together 60 provinces in all, with similar
Mhm.
almost equal population. So we
Mhm.
have province directors. Then, as you would have
Mhm.
seen in the document, there is a further granularity coming up to the military directors.
You started breaking again. You're breaking again. So if
Is
you
that
can
okay?
hear me, what you're trying to tell is about the hierarchy that you sent that you mentioned in the brochure, right? So um, um, but I
Go
like
hand in hand.
mm, uh, I like the I know title like Earth Policy word rather than political thing word Earth Political Forum kind of thing. So policy might be more appealing to many, I believe, um, to put people on the same page. Ye- I think if you are able to listen. So
So you are saying that
yeah,
Earth Policy Forum is more appropriate than Earth Political Forum. Is that what you are saying?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay, fine. So let us then call it Earth Policy Forum. Okay, which you also believe will have larger acceptability. Okay, so let's
yeah.
call it Earth Policy Forum, in which a large number of constituents converge on a common platform, including predominantly world constitution and parliament
Mhm.
association
Yeah, let's stop here, Chandraji,
and
and one
World People's
second.
Assembly.
Yeah,
And
we have
similarly, there
Tarun
is the
Jha
World
also.
Federalist Movement. There
Yeah,
is
Tarunji also joined us. So if we both can slow down and let these two um, great people say a few things, that would be great. Can you hear me? Can
yeah,
you hear
sure.
me, sir?
So Tarun, could you switch on your video?
And one more word about Padmaja ji. She is a government official originally, and she quit the job and she jumped
Okay.
into this thing. She is coming with a background of solid knowledge on how the system works. Day in and day out, just like you, she deals with the bureaucrats. She deals with the all kinds of officials, and she also runs this organization with 1,400. Uh, volunteers. You know, um, this is an amazing approach with little money, uh, but full of willpower, and people are willing to support her all the way along. So we both joined hands, 6 or 7 months ago. Since then, we were in touch almost every day, discussing how do we do these things, how we model these things, including the toilets that you are mentioning. So we had discussed so many things. So this could be through Padmaja ji, whatever she is doing, this could be a perfect, um, perfect template also
Okay.
on top of
Okay. So I would suggest let
what
us
she is
all switch
doing.
on the videos. Let us all switch on the videos. Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
hear from her. Yes, please. Yeah. Okay.
Padmaja ji, can
Thank
you
you,
hear
ma'am.
us?
Such a pleasure to have you.
Thanks to Prasadji for having so much faith and uh, uh, for keeping me on a very high pedestal. But I know I'm a pigeon-headed person with a small vision. I can't think globe, on a macro level that you have been thinking, and it's a good thing that somebody. I always tell Prasadji that somebody should be working from the top, and at the same time, at micro level, from the grassroots level, someone should be also be there to work and to handhold and support the people and their movements. So what we are doing is in a very small level, but with good impact. So that's how we are able to uh, carry the work forward in spite of having financial constraints most of the time. So thanks to you all, and I got to know about your efforts for a bigger thing. Like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam itself is very alluring, and many a times when we sit and discuss, many people think we are very utopic and with a very, daydreaming visions that we have. Even to work at the village level, there are so many politics and there are so many hurdles that we face. But once we know that we are persistent in our efforts, and the efforts are altruistic without any ulterior selfish motto, I'm sure we will be able to achieve. Even when we don't achieve certain things, there will be others who take our vision forward and carry the work forward. So I think this good beginning that you all have been making and conceptualizing the thing. I'm not very good at planning, but execution, yes, we hold on, come what may. Thank you.
So, Padmaja ji, could you
Yeah.
please explain the projects you have taken up and what you are simultaneously running all these years, and that would also give him a clear idea where we stand as individuals, and also your way of approach on dealing with several things since you are involved in the ashram.
Before I joined the
Yeah. So
government,
before that, just a small intervention
Mm-hmm.
on just a small point on connecting the dots. So
Mm-hmm.
yatha pinde tatha brahmande. I very well share this from my experiences that the complexities are as much working at a smaller level as they are working at a macro level. So I somehow uh, do not accept that these are very two different things, and I believe in the primacy of yatha pinde tatha brahmande, that the microcosm is macrocosm. That's the first point. The second point where again your thoughts resonate very strongly is that when you say altruism and when you say selfless, I think over time the parmarth becomes our swarth, and the two blur and converge and become one. So in the sense of advaita is uh, anant and advait is anand, uh, swarth and parmarth, being selfish and being selfless, for people who have become aware, who've realized the true purpose of human existence, is not distinguishable. So while at a gross level, being selfish and being selfless may be very different things. At a higher subtle level, they are one and the same. So just these two small points I'd like to reflect on. Yeah, thank you. So please share your experiences on the ground and the specific projects as Prasad mentioned.
I worked with some organizations that were working at grassroots level before I got into government service. Then, being in the government service, I worked with the rural development department, Panchayat Raj department, and then I started working in an ashram where children without parents and children with socially challenged persons, we all got together and created a big home for ourselves. It's like a joint family that we live in. Then many people started helping us, and then how to um, not repay exactly. Syat pradhanam tatodikam. We are what we are because of the society around us. So, how much should we give back? We should give back more than what we get, more than what we receive. So that with that motto, we keep working every day, and then, however small it is, we just once it is serving someone, once it is helping, making things better, we hold on and we continue to do that, and that's how we are working in some villages, especially on farming and waste management. So the challenge is most of the people are addicted to using chemicals. Even in the remotest tribal areas, the chemicals have reached. So, including pesticides, herbicides, and then fertilizers, the natural flora and fauna are destroyed, and we get chemicals from outside, and that is one fourth. The other one is the local food is almost forgotten, with the government institutions promoting food from outside, and also the traders and the local sellers, they get food from outside and they take away the little produce that the tribals have. So we are now trying to inculcate the local food habits and also generate income by selling the processed food without any chemicals. So that thing that we have started. Recently, we have started collecting a lot of single-use plastic that is entering our villages, and we started giving it to local bodies. When the local bodies were not prepared to handle the source segregated waste, we created a material recovery facility, and then now we are designing more and more development centers where the youth come together and handle their waste, and also they think of how to float small micro enterprises so that they stay put in the village, and then the natural resources are not exploited by people from outside, and then how to go for afforestation, how to save the native plant varieties. So sometimes they become so strong that the local politicians feel threatened.
So let me understand. So if I am
yes, please.
I'm sorry. I asked. Because there are some connectivity glitches, but I believe that in my quantum understanding, you provide a good, antithesis to the Donald Trump, phenomena, which I would like to call as a spoiled super brat, with lots of weapons and lots of powers. And you are like a mother figure, with lots of inner calm and satisfaction, and coming with a sense of giving, whereas Trump camp is all about taking. So when you are all about taking, you are also dissipative and self-destructive. You're also very vulnerable, fragile, and very insecure. Whereas you may be working at grassroots level, but you come from a very secure, very contented, milieu around you. So that kind of is in a quantum entanglement, uh, in my way of looking at things. So in that regard, I would also like to have a in-person meeting. So I asked, how far are you from Hyderabad? If let's say I was to visit the ashram during my trip to Hyderabad around 6th of February.
We are almost close to Orissa border. We are 750 kilometers away from Hyderabad, I think. We are closer
so
to
you are
Visakhapatnam.
Near Ganjam?
Near Raigad. Close to Visakhapatnam also. From Visakhapatnam, we are 3 hours.
So in that case, okay, I see this very interesting. So I'm just kind of thinking aloud that since I will be going to Bokaro Steel City, which is towards that side geographically, so if you share your locations and all the coordinates, then I could plan to make a stop over there and then move onward to Hyderabad.
Thank you. You're most welcome, and we will be waiting for you. I will share my location and.
Yeah. So a very kind of insight in our overall conversation. Padmaja ji represent, and this is what makes India, in my humble opinion, as a force to reckon with. How they make the transition, from, like you said, she is a former bureaucrat, to kind of get to the very roots. Is the audio clear?
Yes, yes. Please go on.
Yeah, and have you heard me uninterrupted so far?
Yes.
Okay, so I have completed my point. Now I'd like to hear from you that are you also able to turn around the frame of reference and see things in this new light? That how people like Padmaja ji represent, and in a quantum entanglement, the opposite actions of what the Trump camp is doing.
Yeah. So, well, I'm trying to accomplish both the things. Another piece of me always tells, ignore Trump. We know that is, standards to wrong template. But we are better than him. He's playing his cards according to his, mind. These are all his mind silly games. There is no value to it, and his colleagues also know that thing. But again, this is kind of psycho fancy phase he is in. He may come down little later, but no, whatever he says, whatever the thing he puts forward is not viable, both strategically, economically, and in terms of respect also. He already lost that thing. So he has to come to middle ground and play his game, if at all, if he has to be nice, at least from now onward. So I don't really care about what Trump is doing. We have our own agenda. We know it is credible, and there is need for that. Let's play out of that strength rather than we always try to pull this guy unnecessarily into our conversation. It's good to show
No,
it as a
Prasad,
wrong. Yeah.
no, I'm sorry to interrupt. See, while I agree with you that, Padmaja ji represents the brighter side of humanity, whereas Trump
Mhm.
represents the shadow side of humanity. In the
Yeah.
words of a leading philosopher and economist, Wolfgang Sachs, who's been a great influence in my thinking, with his
Yeah, that
papers
part I
called.
agree totally with you. That part I agree
Yeah,
with you
but
totally.
but
Yeah.
where I do not agree with you is that we can
Mhm.
ignore Trump simply because he represents a super threat, which can destabilize the whole world, including us at the grassroots level. So while I agree with you that we have the brighter side of humanity which we need to bring to the forefront, but where I differ is that we can ignore Trump. So what I'm saying is that let us prepare, because we have lots of tasks at hand to consolidate our forces, like you saw in the conversation with our Russian friends, Vitaly Vasiliev and uh, Alexei Voronov, and then Pavel Katev, who was a bridge to lead us to Russia. Then my meetings with the Russian ambassador in India, His Excellency, uh, the ambassador Denis Elipov.
Mhm.
Then there is focus on both the urgency as well as the need to garner the necessary resources to create a secretariat, to create a organization structure which can formally represent the brighter side of humanity. So this summit between the brighter side of humanity and the shadow side of humanity must happen sometimes, very soon. So that is one part that I'd like to highlight. Then there is a third scenario which I would like to explore, which is that, let's say, America is a very hostile uh, territory to operate from, for NEERA, with you at the helm as executive director. So in that case, we have a possibility that since you have your roots and you have a base in Hyderabad, then let's say, if there is a possibility of uh, moving and transferring, and then because anyway we are connected online with people who may continue to be in America.
Mhm.
So this is the third scenario that I'd like to, and then together, how we work in parallel to create a robust, resilient framework which helps us to do the inevitable, establish and formalize Earth Federation as an alternative to the now redundant, United Nations. Has the audio been cleared all through?
Yeah, you broke in between, but again, I got most of the thing. Operating,
Okay, that is why I
showing,
also repeated. Yeah, please
yeah,
continue. Yeah.
showing Suraksha, showing me having a base from Hyderabad and hitting hard from there is okay with me. It's not a problem. So,
And I suggest you could switch on the video because I noticed that video is not causing the glitch. Yeah.
I see.
Okay.
So
Yes,
what I'm
please.
saying is,
Yeah.
as you suggested, the option third, to jumpstart the activities, we can consider Hyderabad a base for me because even Suraksha Trust is also registered from Hyderabad itself. So it's not a problem. Until the dust here, until we let the dust settle here for our internal quality between our teams, including our US friends, we could start our work from Hyderabad. There is no issue with that.
Okay. Yeah, please continue.
So yeah, I have nothing to say more than that. I think I got the clarity on those things, and I'm glad that you also got a very good clarity on Padmaja ji's work, and I'm more glad that you are planning to visit her ashram also. Um, in fact, I still regret to miss that opportunity while I'm in India last time. So we have certain things in fire, certain things to fire through ashram also. So it's collaborative work basically between both of us, and your visit also enhance and physically witness what's the work is being done. She hasn't mentioned about biogas, etc. She is almost there to generate biogas also. So about the laboratories, etc., public, and she has some nice plans about that. Um, and she is also looking into some models like how to extract water hyacinth from lakes, nearby lakes, and convert into a manure, maybe compost, maybe biofuels. Three things, maybe fiber also. So their models already established, and she has incredible connections also. I'm a small man in comparison to her connections in that part of India. So she is very humble. She wouldn't, encourage anybody to say more about her. So nice of her, but she has a lot on her plate, and she is constantly executing it. That's the personality she has. She talks less, executes more. She's not like me totally. So. Uh, So yeah, I'm more now like a facilitator because I have a few cylinders to fire. So so since I also talk about education, bringing in education, most of my energy is being spent on that. The other piece is on the innovation, entrepreneurship, mentors, all those things. Now I have to balance these things. So that's another
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, Prasad. So we'll come to that. Now let
Sure.
me spell out, what would be the actual action plan and the roadmap leading to it.
Hmm.
Is that as you said, she is also very humble. We have a shloka, Vidya Dadati Vinayam, Vinayam Dadati Patrita.
Very
So
true.
it's the humility which makes you receptive to the strength, to the powers of the universe, and that is what gives you wealth, and that is what gives you happiness in the end. So we know it through our ancient traditions. So these are almost like very deeply ingrained in our
Hmm.
collective consciousness in this
Hmm.
part of the world, at least.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying is that, and similarly, as a corollary, arrogance makes you fragile,
Of course.
and brute force makes you more vulnerable, more insecure, and more dangerous to yourself more than to others.
Very true.
And also, it makes you dissipative and self-destructive. So you're always like a leaking gut, so it's that the toxic build-up keeps happening. So that's the yatha pinde tatha brahmande analogy. So coming to the specifics of so it's very glad to note that there's a possibility of you operating from Hyderabad, because the suraksha is primarily registered in Hyderabad, as I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I think it also geographically neatly falls into, because Bokaro is towards the geographical location she is indicating, which is on the Odisha, Andhra Pradesh border. And okay, so I'll accordingly plan, because as I shared with you, I need to visit my mother, who is there in Jharkhand, in
Mhm.
Bokaro Steel City. So now next part is that the third scenario which I shared, which is that uh, we explored the possibility that uh, you move to India. That is the third part, and also we then move onward to the global headquarters being set up at Bengaluru. So if you can also connect with me with your network towards Bengaluru.
Mhm. I do not have many friends at Bangalore. Let me check. I might be having a few, but again, I will forward
Okay,
this. Yeah.
I would certainly like you to meet. I'll share the number of Professor P.N. Murthy,
Mm-hmm.
who spearheads the global headquarters project along with few other people. But I know Professor Murthy because I had extensive interactions with him so far.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
similarly, you already interacted with my very close associate Srinivas Yerapottu,
Okay.
who is in Chennai.
Mm-hmm.
So there again, we are connecting with a good number of people. I
Mm-hmm.
already had last year nearly 10 days visit to Chennai
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
around same time last year, in
Mm-hmm.
which we already met with very influential people. For example, one of the RSS think tanks, Mr. S. Gurumurthy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as well as a very prominent diplomat,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ambassador T.S. Tirumurthy, who was a former Indian ambassador to the United Nations.
Mm-hmm. So
Uh, Yeah.
This is great. May I stop you for a second because we are
Yes,
running out
please.
of time, 4 minutes. We have
Okay.
another friend of mine joined. His good name is Mr. Sambamoorthy. Mr. Sambamoorthy, please open your video and please feel free to introduce yourself. Can you hear me?
I'm able to hear you. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. I have to understand a little bit more about this initiative and then come up with my own ideas and participate in this kind of a really very noble thought. I just appreciated that even the framework what you have developed. So it's very interesting thing. And then I feel the challenge is we have to take it down the idea to the local communities and help them in taking the ownership. Because with or without the proper knowledge, so we are all in one way or the other kind of getting engaged in the environmental destruction. Because we should first of all understand what we can do at an individual level, at the family level, and the community level. So my own specialization is developing some training modules and community involvement modules. So I will be able to certainly help in
Could you
those kind
please
of
switch on your video,
processes.
Sambamoorthy?
Sir, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. That is it, sir. Thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
No,
I
could you switch on
appreciate
your
this and
video,
look.
please?
Sorry.
If could you switch on your video, please?
Oh, yes. I'm just a moment, sir. Just a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yes,
Please
sir.
continue.
I'm available. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, sir.
Yeah.
Online.
Thank you.
Please continue.
So
Yes.
please.
Yes. That is whatever were the little thing, but I really appreciate. I feel as of now I have to get to know more. And then through Mr. Prasad, I'll get to know because he is one of the very big enthusiasts. And then we are working together on a different platform. So thank you. I appreciate.
Chandraji, just to bring you to the speed, I shared the brochure that you sent it the other day. So, so he read that thing, and apart from whatever we discussed, one more thing is, since Samamurthy ji joined us lately, we were discussing about Earth policy approach. Overall. That's the holistic approach, and to deal with the tantrums and the mismanagement of Donald Trump's kind of individuals higher ups in the politically, and as you just mentioned with your introductory part that you deal with education and low level reforms and everything. By the way, one thing I understood from Mr. Sambamoorthy Garu is he also works with the government. He has a lot of experience in that, just like Padmaja Garu. So I almost end up like a facilitator and learn so many things. And of course, I do certain things also. So I'm not yet in the government level. So so this is a good company as I see. Samvurthy Garu has wealth of knowledge in dealing with bureaucracy and everything, and he he also invests into government to support them. Actually, all the crazy stuff. They take service and won't release the funds, all this kind of nonsense that they do, even nowadays in the modern age. It's bad. So we have to solve all these kind of things, right? When government owes a person, a professional in any place, they should be releasing their funds in time. So otherwise, how do they offer legitimate survive? Legitimate service. We are not KPMGs, right? So we have to instill this kind of discipline into any government arm that is using professional services, right? So this is hard-earned knowledge, and we are trying to serve them, and they are turning blind eye, very sadly, onto this kind of professional.
Can I come in, sir? That is
Sure.
one aspect.
Yes.
What I found, because I've been involved with the government in certain policy initiatives, some of the government officials also work in a kind of a competitive mindset. They don't feel it is very essential to get the community involved right from the policy making stage onwards, because the political masters also, they feel they have to do something quickly, they have to show some magic to the people. So in the whole competitive process, now every domain cannot be a competitive domain. Now what we are talking about should be sustainable, people owned. Okay, because the problem starts there. So that they are not appreciating. I have been struggling to make these people understand the need for the stakeholder involvement right from the beginning at different levels. So when we are talking about the policy initiatives and all that, this also should be one of the very important intervention which we should be able to bring about. Because my own understanding is, as far as the government of India is concerned, their policy frameworks are good. Even in the area of the waste management, pollution control, they have good structures. They have good policy frameworks. But what is lacking is converting them into operational initiatives, the good technology intervention and measurement measures, and making the community take ownership for these initiatives. These are some of the few things I have learned. As we go along, we should be able to, I look forward for opportunities where we can work on this platform. Thank you. Thank you.
This fits into,
Prasad
yes, sir.
Garu.
This is an important thing. This fits into governance, right? So implementation and governance, both the things. So implementation at the time, on the side of law and policy, and at the same time, make it run smoothly without troubling others. Everybody deserves that kind of respect also. It boils down to respect and how we deal with our own people.
Right.
No matter what, every service is like that. But again, unfortunately, it used to be a little worse than this. But again, professionals like yourself also have to deal with this kind of thing. Many governments are also running on ERPs nowadays. They have money,
Yeah.
they blow money on unnecessary things, but they have to realize, we have to make them realize this is something that they promised early on. It has to be delivered in time. Just like how the professionals are delivering their services in time. They don't tolerate, right? If we don't deliver these things in time. So
Yeah.
why should it be the other way around?
Yeah.
This is
Accountability
discipline.
is only one side.
Yes.
So they don't feel themselves accountable for kind of the service provider. That apart, I also appreciate Padmaja madam, who is in the group. I have seen her own postings in that our evidence group. And at the ground level, they all seem to be doing phenomenal things. But we should be able to identify those phenomenal things and appreciate. And we also should get to learn what is happening on the ground, what is working on the ground. So these are the learnings which we will be able to get from these experiments and this continuous working of these initiatives. That's also important. We can develop a framework which can really help to get this whatever our ideas getting rooted at the ground. Identify different stakeholders. So, but somehow, unfortunately, our own development process is more into the rat race, what we call. So some kind of what do you call larger advertisement and then getting quick wins. But I don't even call them wins, because as long as it is not sustainable, it can never be a win.
Mhm.
That is how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much. They are rather quick fixes rather
Ah,
than wins.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
connecting with what Prasad Garu said, and then reflecting on your experiences, where we are positioning our global initiative is as a global voice and global leverage for grassroots initiatives, which maybe in hundreds of thousands and even in millions if you look at the whole world, huge swaths of Africa, Asia, Latin America. So what's also called the global south, which gets much less media coverage than the so-called global north, and disproportionately so, if you look at the overall picture. Now, in that regard, what I would like to share here is that I am very glad that it is being recognized that what Padmaja ji is doing at the grassroots, needs to be highlighted and emulated at the global level for the knowledge transfer to happen, for more people to get inspired, and for the whole narrative to change. Because ultimately, let's face it, this whole battle will not be won through weapons. I think anybody who believes that by building more better weapons we can win this, I think that's a big delusion, because building more weapons will only hasten the destruction. It will further accelerate the Armageddon. By focusing on consolidating our efforts, by documenting them, where I believe Suraksha, led by Prasad Garu, has a very powerful role to play. And he's already doing that by bringing key people on into the conversation. Now, let me take it further, because I also happen to have, about more than 2 decades of experience in government industry practice, uh, for the companies I represented and also for my own startups, because I've also been an innovator, and I especially focus on orbit shifting innovations of ecosystems. So I work on a very large canvas, and I've already shared some of the very radical thoughts I have. For example, the white paper that I shared on urine diverting biodegradable Indian toilet with use of sensors and AI makes a touch-free, dry toilet, which eliminates the scourge of water flush toilets, which I believe is very unscientific, and also creates a spiritual, regression, uh, because there is a decorum of how far the toilet should be from our living spaces, and how the human excreta should not be mixed with water.
True.
No animal does it.
True.
So we need to learn, and the biomimicry that is possible given the space constraints, given that population densities have increased. Our habitats are not what they used to be, when open defecation could be practiced in large parts of the world, without creating hygiene issues, without creating privacy and other kinds of issues, which gave it such a bad name. And then we swung to the other extreme. So similarly, I have a view on doing away with private ownership of vehicles, as well as private ownership of housing, and we have good best practices from around the world on how this can be done to great effect, because AI and lots of modern technologies allow the fluidity, the fungibility of creating housing as a service and mobility as a service, using large ERP based solutions which are not just conventional, set in the old narratives, but which are now customized, and adapted to the new narrative of peace, stability, and sustainability. So, in that, I see a great need to converge the latest of modern technological advances with our ancient wisdom. I like to say this, that China may have deep sea, but India has something called Vivek, the sense of discretion, which is very hardwired into our daily living as well as into our way of thinking. Bringing this to a close, as Prasad Garu also has a next meeting, I would like to continue this conversation with more people in your circle till I'm also able to get other people to join in, especially since you already responded to the email conversation with our Russian friends who have devoted considerable time, but because of cultural nuances, the Russian side believes that we need to invest a good few millions in organizing very high level, high visibility events in Moscow. Whereas I am trying to bring them around to say that we are all equals, and there is nobody so special that we have to have only physical meetings. Since we are in different locations, let's get everyone, even if it's a head of state, on board, and that is what how it should be. That is the true spirit and ethos of democracy, that we are all equals, and digital leverage creates that level playing field where I won't be surprised if we had, let's say, the Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin in one of the conversations, because if you look at it, de facto, sovereign nation states
Sir,
have.
if
Yes,
you
please.
excuse me,
Yes, please.
I have a kind of a suggestion.
Yes, please.
Suppose if we can have a kind of a, what do you call, a list, some actionable points, because digesting all these things at one time also will be difficult practically. So if we can have to start with, so if that can be circulated, then we all can come up with from our own practical experience or doability. So
Yes,
what
Sambamoorthy
everyone
Garu,
can do. That
we
way,
already have a practice
yeah,
of summarizing the transcripts,
sir.
both as an executive summary as
Ah,
well as a detailed proceedings
ah,
structured,
ah,
which we will share along with the video proceedings.
ah.
Yeah,
That
so
will be
we do.
very nice, sir. So
Yes.
we can take into consideration our own. See, my own way of thinking is I'll immediately think about what is operational, how do we. So that is how mind works.
Yeah, so
Ah,
we've already got it structured, which
sir.
we've been following from the previous sessions.
Ah,
So, as Prasad Garu would, validate that we have been sharing the summaries, and
correct.
so nothing that we speak here gets lost. It is, recorded, and then we build on it in the subsequent sessions. So, in the series that I had planned so far, this is the fifth session. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., we have the sixth and the final session. Uh, and then I must highlight that on 27th of January, the doomsday clock is likely to is going to be revised. Not likely, definitely. at 8:30 p.m. India time. It is 10 a.m. ET, Eastern Time, according to the American time zone. So my thinking aloud is that that will again provide a good, kind of reference point to have a final meeting in which we must invite a list of 12 very eminent people from, representing diverse stakeholders uh, who can announce a joint declaration for Earth Federation based on the Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam document as well as the ViBES manifesto and a presentation. All these three documents I've already shared with Prasad Garu. So once people get sufficient time to go through these documents, tomorrow is Sunday, and if you can also send them reminders, we would have a final and summit, virtual conclave on 30th, in which together we will try to convince some very eminent people who are already in the loop. For example, one of them is the former Foreign Minister of Singapore, Mr. George Yeo, who I met recently in Delhi during his talk on India in the New Asia. Though it was not restricted to just Asia, he gave a very geopolitical panorama of his perspectives. And we had a very good interaction after that. Similarly, we have people like Jairam Ramesh, who was also there in that session, who I had a very good interaction, and who Sanjay Gadhale also knows very well. And particularly, because he will come, because there is Assam elections, there is Bengal elections, there are a couple of other elections. So he's very busy because he's head of communication for the Congress party. But if we together try to convince him, he could be there on the 30th meeting. Similarly, we must try to get Mr. Gurumurthy and Mr. Tirumurthy, who are both in Chennai. So if Prasad could further follow up with Srinivas Garu, who's in Chennai, who you spoke to yesterday, they are already very well aware. I've been sharing them all the updates, including the video proceedings and the transcript summaries of the previous meetings as well, which they would have most likely gone through. But because of certain protocol issues, they may not come, individually, but unless they come collectively. So that's a very interesting nuance of the group dynamics. So let us have our final session, which is our consolidation final, tomorrow at 8 p.m. And then we have a gap of about 5 days after that. Then at 8 p.m. on 30th, or whatever date may be suitable, maybe because 30th is also Gandhi's Remembrance Day. So there are a number of events that are likely to be already scheduled. So we can discuss whether we do it on 29th or on 31st, but we must do it immediately after we get the update on where exactly the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists places the doomsday clock. Last year in January, it was placed at 89 seconds to midnight, which was already on a high alarm. Now, from the reports that I have gone through, there is a 80% probability that it will be placed much closer. So that becomes a very good reference point for us to press the issue for a joint declaration of Earth Federation, and then work towards its formalization by 15th of April in next 3 months, and then the official functioning of NEERA 5th of June. On the Environment Day, World Environment Days, it is. So this is the kind of roadmap broadly, and then there are a number of milestones in between, which I will share in tomorrow's session. So thank you so much, Padmaja Garu, Sambamoorthy Garu, and Prasad Garu, for making this session so valuable, so enriching. And whatever happens further, the blessings that I have received in this session itself is, makes me very heart very warm, and makes me very contented that we have done a satsang, which listening to all of you was very very warm and very fulfilling. Thank you so much for all of you. So with your final words, we'll bring this session to a close.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for this opportunity. I think it is very promising, and it is one of the very essential things. So there is no necessity to emphasize on the need, but how we want to go ahead, and then how do we want to get the stakeholders involved in their own respective areas. So those things will be our challenges. I am willing to put my own experience, and bring whatever little things I can contribute. So thank you, Prasad Garu, for introducing me to this platform. So
you're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
We enjoyed your wisdom also here. We're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we are all together. One thing what we have to communicate is, if we don't act urgently, we'll all perish together.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So beautifully put. So may we have the closing remarks from Padmaja Garu?
Yeah.
Before.
Yes, yes, Sambamoorthy Garu said, each one of us have our own strengths and people who have similar experiences. So, like, however small we may be, like small ants, but all put together, we can make a big hive and big impact. So let's work with optimism and undeterred determination.
Yeah.
Let's work together. Thank you.
Nice, ma'am.
Wow, that's
Nice.
so inspiring and motivating. So just final words from microbiologists, Lynn Argulis, which says that life did not take over the globe by combat, but by networking. So thank you so much for sharing the ant and the beehive analogy. I think it beautifully fits into our overall vision and philosophy.
Right.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.
And see you again in the next session. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.